Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri, and our next guests take the stage July 15th on Broadway and August 23rd in East Hampton, New York, for another edition of the beloved and highly praised Celebrity Autobiography, where celebrities like our guest, John Fuglesang, and the incredible Susan Lucci read from other celebrities' autobiographies. Please welcome John Fuglesang and Susan Lucci. Let's hear it. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. This is not your first rodeo with Celebrity Autobiography, correct?
Correct.
And how did you start doing it? What drew you to it? What made you want to take part?
Actually, Gene Pack, who created this, along with his wife, Del Rifle, approached me, and the concept, I actually heard about this beforehand. Somebody told me that they had seen Mario Cantone read me. And I thought, how perfect. I love that. And they said he was hysterical, and I love Mario Cantone, so I thought he would actually be the perfect one.
Have you seen him read you?
I did once. Actually, we were on the same show together. This is a revolving cast.
Right.
And so one night we happened to be in the same cast together. I just love him.
Can I ask what section of your autobiography he read?
Yes, he read from the first chapter. He read from my experience winning the Emmy on my 19th nomination.
Did it make you see the experience and the whole story in a different light, hearing him read it?
A much different light.
And so now, what number show is this going to be for you coming up?
Probably about 6.
Wow.
I'm thinking, yeah, we were on Broadway last December at the Marriott Marquis, and I started in East Hampton. That was the first one at Guildhall. I'll be there again on August 23rd. And the Triad, we've done the Triad here off Broadway, where we'll be next Monday, a week from tonight, a week from last night.
And John, what about you?
Well, this is the 10-year anniversary
Right.
of Celebrity Autobiography. And again, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the funniest shows you can see anywhere. They find comedy in places that you'd never expect. What I love about it is it can be scathing without being mean, which is hard to pull off. Gene Pack cornered me at Cafe Carlisle one night and asked me to come do it. And Rosie O'Donnell had told me about it, and I had heard about the show. And my first time there, I think I was reading Richard Burton opposite Gina Gershon as Elizabeth Taylor. Of course, I've upgraded quite a bit. No offense, Gina. I love you.
I think Gina did great.
Oh, indeed. Gina
Yeah.
Gershon is my appetizer as Elizabeth Taylor, but she is the full course. And so it's brilliant because you see terrific actors and comedians and writers, I mean, taking on some really hilarious memoirs. And I don't blame the celebrities for the memoirs. I kind of blame their editors for letting the memoirs be released in some cases, because we all write things and years later we wish I hadn't done that. So it's a show.
Look at my Twitter feed.
Right, exactly. Look at my
that.
Twitter feed, yeah. Got me thrown out of the Navy. But, it's what's incredible about it is the actors take the stage and none of us can speak our own words. As a comedian, it's very frustrating. We want to throw in asides, but we can't. We have to stay right to the text that has been chosen of these real autobiographies. And in many cases, they shouldn't have been written. In other cases, they'll take really good autobiographies and mash them up together with other ones to have like a sort of, I don't know, fondue and
Like create a scene between the two?
Well, like the one that we do together, where you're Burton and I'm Liz Taylor, and the creators, I'm reading from Elizabeth Taylor's autobiography. At the same time, the creator of the show, Del Rifle, is reading from Debbie Reynolds' autobiography of the same time. And
With Eddie Fisher's autobiography.
Eddie Fisher's there, yes, his autobiography. Mike Todd is present on stage.
Mike Todd dies very soon in the piece. But they mash up 3 different autobiographies of people in this famous love triangle or love quadrangle. And sometimes you'll see how different celebrities remember the same event in very different ways. But it's a whole new kind of storytelling, and it's always hilarious.
Now, with the two of you, obviously you've done it a number of times, and you've done this particular iteration of the show at least once at this point, right?
I've done it about 6 times too.
Yeah.
Oh, 6 times? Has it always been the same iteration, the same biographies?
Different every time.
Different every time, that's what I mean, yeah. But this iteration where you did it last night, you said? Or is it going to change again?
It changes a lot. We're going to be with Ralph Macchio and Rachel Dratch
right. Okay, so
next week in Long Island and in New York City.
And you're adding and taking away biographies at that point. Wow.
Exactly. I've done Kim Kardashian when Brooke Shields and Christy Brinkley and I we do the Kardashian girls.
Were you Kim? Or no, you...
I was Kim.
You were Kim. Now, when you're playing Kim, are you just reading as yourself, or are you trying to build a character as an actress?
I can't help it. I'm always trying to build a character. And the thing I would say mostly about when we're doing the Kardashians is that there's no sense of urgency. You know?
That's the best description of privilege I've ever heard.
Right. Everything's very, very slow and seemingly thoughtful, but maybe only thoughtless, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what they do that's brilliant, Kris Kardashian's memoir is juxtaposed sometimes with Justin Bieber's memoir, and it's the same exact anecdote. We went to the Louvre, and people were more interested in me than the art. And both of these people wrote the same exact story in their memoirs, and Dale and Jean just mash it up together, and it's pretty scathing. And I want to say, anybody who ever saw Susan Lucci on her SNL hosting appearance knows how brilliantly funny this woman is, but I've been astonished by how this lady does the work and mines humor out of things that I would never find. It's a great way for actors to stretch in ways they've never been asked to before.
It's true. It's so much fun to do this show, and the audience, most importantly, the audience is having a great time. It's the 10th anniversary, as you said. This whole creation is just, well, it won the Drama Desk Award.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's really good stuff and really a fun evening.
How much prep do you have to do going into it? Do they tell you which biography you're going to be reading? Do you read a fair amount, or do you want to go in fresh that night?
I do not want to go in fresh that night. No, I read ahead of time, and I kind of check out some interviews if I can.
Really?
Yeah, so I just get a feeling for the flavor.
Same here. I mean, YouTube is a great resource to hear how these people talk in their own voices. And sometimes I've seen actors go in there fresh, but everyone has a different approach. Some people will do terrific impressions. Mario Cantone does a Kathleen Turner that is so outstanding. But then Alan Zweibel, who's, wrote some of the greatest SNL sketches and created Gary Shandling's show and won the Tony with Billy Crystal, he reads Justin Bieber's memoir just as Alan Zweibel talks, exactly like this, and it's even funnier. Everyone takes a different take on it, and that's what makes it so funny.
And your take is you like to play the character. I mean, you at least like to play Richard Burton.
Well, we all want to have a Welsh accent to impress the ladies, but
That's what impresses the ladies.
Well, you know what? When Tate Donovan wasn't free and they asked me to do Burton, I wanted to do really well because I don't think I can even say some of the language Richard Burton engages in on this show. You
can say.
You got to see it. It's way too funny.
Okay.
But, it's, like, for example, one of my favorites, they have Vanna White's memoir. Back in the 80s, a magical time, Vanna White got a book deal to talk about her job turning letters. They have Will Shortz, who does the New York Times crossword puzzle, read Vanna White's memoir. And it's just, it's so smart and ridiculously dumb at the same time.
And Ralph Macchio does the best Schwarzenegger I have ever heard.
Yeah, it's
He
scary.
probably is better than Schwarzenegger himself. It's just fantastic. And also Ralph Macchio's daughter, Julia, is going to be appearing this time.
That's a huge surprise. I would never imagine that Ralph Macchio was the best Schwarzenegger impersonator.
Wouldn't you? And that's
that there
part
was.
of the fun. Yeah, exactly.
You told me that you'll be doing Ivana Trump as well, right? Can I ask, it's been Celebrity Autobiography has been around for about 10 years. Had you done it prior to 2016 as Ivana Trump? And if you had, what is it like doing it now versus then?
I had done it prior to 2016. It was the year that Trump was running. So it was like just leading up to that.
So people were angry, but not as angry.
They weren't even angry. They just were, finding it
Confused.
fun and maybe confused.
It's nice to remember how down to earth she was.
Exactly. So that's really what this is.
Right. So what is it like doing it now, reading it for an audience now?
I think there's even some more passion behind the laughter now.
Right. A bit more catharsis that is being searched for.
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Right. John, obviously you guys don't get to choose the autobiographies that you read.
Oh, I know.
If you could choose, what would you choose?
Wow, I've been asked this a few times. One of my favorites is Brando's memoir, Songs My Mother Taught Me, because the book itself to me is a reflection of Brando's life. The first half is brilliant and lyrical and magnetic, and the second half slides off into complete madness. Brando never mentions his wives, never mentions his kids, doesn't mention most of his films, talks about all of his friends' wives he slept with. It just gets completely insane in the second half, and that's a memoir that I think a lot of humor could be found in.
Have you pitched that?
No. Gene and Dale, they know what they're doing. They are the bosses on this show. And at times I've thought, is this going to work? Is this reading Joe Namath while Ralph Macchio's next to me reading Schwarzenegger and they're being interspersed, and then you get on stage, and it's amazing how they map it out, and they have a way of just making the whole room erupt.
Now, I've seen photos where you're holding the books, the actual autobiographies, but how was that interspersed? Is there an actual script that is kind of copied and pasted parts of it?
Yes.
Copied and pasted is exactly right.
Copied and scotch taped in some cases, yeah.
Who has been your favorite person to play so far?
Actually, equally, Ivana and Liz Taylor. Those are my two favorites. And I've had fun with Kim Kardashian and so on, but really it's Ivana and Liz Taylor. I couldn't be happier.
Why is that?
Oh, they're fun. I mean, it's fun to read them. And
they're so big. They're such big personalities.
big, and also what is ever copied and pasted in those scripts is just the best.
And John?
As much as I've loved Burton, and I've had a lot of fun doing a few great characters, Kenny Loggins' memoir. It's very special. Very special.
Why is that?
Oh dear. Well, God bless Kenny Loggins. Kenny's when we do Kenny, the piece is a letter he wrote to his wife in, I believe, '94 about the cosmic significance of their love and how her soul had waited thousands of years to find him, and how they're going to make love on the beach with no birth control. It's very poetic. Those are the words, no birth control. Really, he's so in love with this woman, and at the same time, he's so in love with Kenny Loggins, and he's congratulating her on her soul waiting thousands of years to find the guy who sang Footloose. It's fantastic.
Have either of you, done the show and then been like, well, I'm going to go actually read this entire biography now because I can't help it? Or are they just generally like, I don't need to spend my time reading this whole book?
That's a good question.
Good question. No, I feel like I get it.
I feel like I get it. Yeah. I mean, as Susan said,
I feel like there's no more honest answer than, I feel like I got it,
you do research on it. And when you're prepping, you don't just want to come out and do an impression. You want to find a way to, and you're not just mocking them. You're trying to find the funny in it. Because again, it's not a mean show. So you really go deep. And I've watched a lot of interviews of the people that I've played to get a better sense of where they're coming from and where their POV is. And for me, stand-up comedy gives you a lot of good habits as an actor and a lot of bad habits as an actor as well. And I constantly want to indicate, I think there was one time, one show, one actor who shall be nameless began ad-libbing and throwing out comments to the audience. And that's a no-no. We don't speak as ourselves. We only speak as our lucky celebrities.
And do you find it hard to not raise an eyebrow or do any kind of thing? Even though
I'm shameless. Yes, we mug. We find Rachel Dratch, man, she finds comedy in punctuation. I don't know how she does it.
I think we have time for a few questions. Who is it right here? Hi.
Hi. My name is Gloria Jules.
Hi.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
My question is, what is the craziest thing you've done in your life?
Ooh.
Oh.
In their life?
In my life.
In your life.
That you want to say out loud on camera in front of an audience.
My parole officer's watching.
I'll tell you what I want to do, which is probably crazier, is I want to go ziplining.
I've done it.
Have you done that?
Yeah.
And here you are, see? And
I'm alive.
You're alive. I mean, I don't want to go over some river in the Amazon. I don't want to drop in there if I drop off.
Yeah.
But just through a forest, a nice little forest.
They have it in Central Park.
They do?
Yes.
Then I'm going to be there.
I'm very excited to meet the person who's like, I was in Central Park and I just saw Susan Lucci ziplining over me.
In the
It's
Bronx
so
Zoo
weird.
also.
Yeah. John, do you want to answer?
Oh, Lord. One time, years ago, I was on Bill Maher's show with David Duke, the famous Nazi and Klansman. And I did a whole piece about this in an off-Broadway show I did a couple years back.
Wig wearer, right? Doesn't he wear like a silly wig? I think?
He's had so much plastic surgery
Yeah.
you can bounce quarters off his face. Yes, he's a very shiny Klansman, and he was very, very offensive. White people built this country all on their own, and my parents were very good Catholic people. My mom had been a nun. My father had been a Franciscan brother. They were like, don't be mean to this guy. You'll sink down to his level. Beat him on the facts. Don't get mean with David Duke. Let him hang himself. And by the end, I couldn't resist. It was so vulgar and so racist. I closed the show by standing up and offering him hot gay sex if he would stop. And my parents didn't speak to me for a week, and I got lots of hate mail from Nazi Klansmen. And I'm not trying to suggest all Nazis are Klansmen, and not all Klansmen are Nazis. They're separate groups. But I got a lot of email from gay men saying I was very brave, so that was worth it. Thank
If
you.
you're not getting hate mail from Nazi Klansmen, you're not doing it right.
You're not doing the Lord's work.
A couple more. What do we got? Right here.
Hi. First of all, this is a thrill to be in the same room with you after being a fan for more years than I can count.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Oh, you mean her. Sorry.
No, it's me. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, you're an icon. And the character of Erica is such an icon. I watched General Hospital as well, and they mention the character Erica Kane every so often. They mention Pine Valley. They mention Landview. They hint at things. And I'm just wondering, can Erica ever be resurrected? Would you ever be open to that if somebody called you and said, come to Port Charles for a little while?
You know, I heard about this on my Instagram account. People told me, do you know? Maybe it was you. Yeah, they're talking about you. There's a one-way phone call, and they're saying Erica Kane and all of that. And that was news to me. So no one has asked me to do this. But
Let's start a campaign.
but Erica Kane, I would play her in a heartbeat. Just have to have the writing,
And
you know?
Vivienne, too. Vivienne from Devious Maids. Also an iconic.
Genevieve.
Genevieve,
yes,
I'm sorry.
That's okay, but another French name. You
Yes,
got it.
I
yes.
mean, that was a great show. I don't know what.
That was great too. Mark
Loved it.
Cherry. I mean, those were some pretty good hands to be in.
It
Agnes
was a
Nixon
great,
and
great
then
show. I
Mark
wish they would
Cherry.
bring that back. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I say, as great as she was on that show, like, the greatest thing about the honor of working with you is just seeing the range you bring to these characters who happen to be real people you might be friends with. So that's what's really amazing.
Do you ever feel like, you did soap operas for how many years, would you say?
Yeah, since 1970, 41
Since
years.
1974. And oftentimes I think people, and this has nothing to do with how you use the word range, but I think oftentimes people don't recognize as soap opera actors as being able to use a lot of range, yet every day you're going into work and you're going as dramatic as you possibly can and as romantic as you possibly can. Do you feel like in that period of time that you were doing soaps that you did literally all of the different kinds of acting that you could possibly do, and yet it's only recognized for one type of acting?
You are amazing. That is a great question. I certainly felt that as the character Erica Kane, I got to do the whole range. It really was more dramedy, and yes, every day when I would have a script, I would think, oh my God, I get to do that? That's fantastic. And it would be a range from, shenanigans and escapades and all of that to big romance and tragedy. And so, yes, I did get a chance to run that whole gamut at that way. But the Ivana Trump gamut never came in. So that's a stretch, and I'm having a great time.
Oh yeah, John, did you want to?
What happened to Erica Kane's sister, Silver? That's my question.
Oh, yeah.
Because Gene Heaton, who played her, directed me off Broadway a couple times.
Oh, my goodness. How is she?
She's amazing. She's teaching Bikram yoga in Atlanta.
I was in Atlanta doing Devious Maids. I'm sorry. Our paths didn't cross. But I don't know what happened to the character.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, no, Erica hated her. She just wrote her off.
One more.
After all this great success, what is your biggest dream? Maybe a new role, or what kind of genres would you like to play also?
Oh, my goodness, what a great question. I love doing comedy. I'm so happy to have this opportunity doing Celebrity Autobiography. And I'm in pre-production for the first of a series of movies for Hallmark. And it's the first time I'm also executive producer. And I'm having the best time. They've been smart enough not to put this executive producer in charge of the money, the finances, but I get to do the creative stuff. So I've been in from the very beginning, and that's very exciting. I'm loving that.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. Congrats on 10 years of Celebrity Autobiography. People can see it on Broadway Monday, I believe, July 17th. Is that Monday?
July 16th.
July 16th, excuse me.
Patchogue, Long Island on the 15th.
That's right. And then it's coming back to New York again another time in August, correct?
In August, I think August 24th.
26th, I believe.
Oh, excuse me, that's
Yeah.
right. Friday, August 23rd, Guildhall
Everybody-
in East Hampton.
Everybody give a round of applause for John Fuglesang and the iconic Susan Lucci.